Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm excited to do this video. We're talking about the Quest 3 that we have right here and the Apple Vision Pro and comparing them to see which one of these does things better than the other, because I have a lot of thoughts on both of these. There are some things that the Quest 3 does better than the Apple Vision Pro, regardless on price, and then there's some things that the Apple Vision Pro does better than the Quest 3. Now, even though these are very different categories out there, and a lot of people always talk about you shouldn't compare them and stuff like that, we all know people who are in this field, people like me, people like you who are watching this video, or anybody else, they're going to be wondering what you can get by getting a $3,500 device like the Apple Vision Pro compared to the $500 starting price of the Quest 3. And they're going to wonder how these features actually work and what does what better and all that kinds of stuff. So we're going to get into all of that in this video. So let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming tech is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to talk about here is weight, design, and comfort. So starting with the weight here, the Quest 3 weighs 519 grams with the default strap, not the Elite strap that you see me wearing here. And then the Apple Vision Pro weighs up to 650 grams depending on which strap you actually have on. So it obviously weighs a little bit more than what the Quest 3 does, and it's obviously more front heavy because the battery is separate on the side, so there's no counterweight or anything on the back that you can do with the Apple Vision Pro. So you're going to feel the weight more on your front than you would on something like the Quest 3, especially if you get third-party straps and stuff like that, at least currently, until maybe we get some more third-party straps on the Apple Vision Pro. Now, as far as the comfort on both of these, with the Elite battery strap, which was a third-party strap, or the Boba VR, this becomes a really comfortable headset. Everything is distributed really well, especially with the battery being counterweighted on the back. I could wear this for hours without any problem, and I love wearing the Quest 3 for that reason. It's really comfortable, and I have no issues with it. I didn't find it as comfortable when I used the default strap that came in the box, so there is that, and I definitely switched immediately to an Elite battery strap, but now it's super comfortable. When you pick up the Apple Vision Pro here, it's kind of I'm using the solo loop band that you have right here. It does come with the dual loop band as well, which is one that just has a top strap, just like this one does here, where there's a top strap on your head. But I decided to keep using this one because I've been using the Vision Pro in and out doing videos and stuff like that, so I haven't really spent more than I think the most I've spent in here so far is an hour and a half straight. And I did that, over the weekend without ever taking it off, and I was fine with this band. So we'll see how that progresses when I do my full review. But as of right now, I would say the Apple Vision Pro has the kind of same thing, where the default strap that came with the Quest 3 wasn't super comfortable. This one may end up being the same thing for longer sessions, even with the dual band loop. We'll see how that goes. But as of right now, this is comfortable enough for me to wear, but it's not as comfortable as the Quest 3 when you consider third-party accessories and stuff with the battery being able to be on the back. This one, obviously, it's very front-heavy, so you're going to feel the weight more, at least until maybe we get some third-party straps out there from other people who maybe will make some sort of counterweights on the Apple Vision Pro, or maybe a way to put the battery on the back so it counterweights it. We'll see how things progress in the third-party market. As far as the design goes on these things, I mean, obviously you can tell that the Apple Vision Pro is really premium and you're getting what you pay for. The Apple Vision Pro is all made out of aluminum, and it has the glass front with a display that it has on the front that shows your eyes. It has the, a very Apple-like design. When you look at the Apple Vision Pro, you can tell someone like Apple made it because it has their aesthetics. You can tell that it's all high quality parts being used, the aluminum feel and everything. But of course, aluminum and stuff is why it weighs a little bit more than the Quest 3, because that stuff has more weight to it. It has that glass front. So all of these things kind of counterbalance each other. But as far as the design goes, you could definitely tell that it is a premium product that you're getting with the Apple Vision Pro, and you can tell the parts that they're using. Where the Quest 3 is all about using the plastic, it's all plastic and stuff like that. It's nothing to write home about. It's not anything that there's anything to say about. The three cameras are sitting here on the front, and it's just a plastic headset. There's not much to say about the design itself. It's nice, it's sleek, it's small, but it's nothing compared to like when someone sees an Apple Vision Pro and they're like, damn, that looks really well built and really feels like, it was made really well when you pick it up and hold it in your hands. Now let's talk about the lenses that both of these devices actually use. They both do use pancake lenses, but the resolution on these is very different from one to another. On the Quest 3, we have 2064 by 2208 resolution, and then on the Apple Vision Pro, we have 3648 by 3144 resolution. So Apple calls this 4K resolution on the Apple Vision Pro, and you can consider the Quest kind of being 2K resolution, give or take, on the Quest 3. So it is definitely a massive difference in resolution, and the clarity on these things, even though they're both using pancake lenses, obviously is much, much higher on the Apple Vision Pro with that resolution. Text has never looked this clear. Videos have never looked this clear. We'll get into that more later, but the resolution is, of course, very different, and it's basically double the resolution from one to the other, so it's going to be something you notice immediately when putting on the Apple Vision Pro. Quest 3 has always been known for having really good edge-to-edge clarity, and I think that both of them are really, really good. There might be slightly more better edge-to-edge clarity on the Quest 3 if you really look for it. I think it's just really, really sharp around the whole entire edge of the Quest 3, where if you look really hard on the Apple Vision Pro, you might see a little bit of glare on the outer edges sometimes, but it's very, very, very minimal. It's only something you would look at if you're a reviewer. I think, for the most part, the screen edge-to-edge clarity is outstanding on both of these devices, and I don't think anyone's going to be complaining about the edge-to-edge clarity on either of these devices. So I think they're both fantastic in that regard. The only thing I will say about these devices is that you could use glasses with the Quest 3. You can put glasses in there with no issues. And on the Apple Vision Pro, you cannot use glasses. You can't even use hard contacts in some cases because it may mess with the eye tracking that we'll get into more later. But so you'll have to get these inserts that, Zeiss provides Apple Vision Pro. You can use these inserts. They snap in really nicely and magnetically. Kind of snaps right into place, so it's really easy to there's no way to really mess it up. Even if I could use glasses or contacts or whatever, I would recommend everyone, if you're going to either get the Quest 3 or the Apple Vision Pro, to definitely get inserts, whether it be, the Zeiss lenses from the Apple Vision Pro or whoever you get lenses from, on the Quest 3. And I'll have some links for you guys down below. But it's something that I would immediately upgrade to because it's just that much better than just wearing glasses in there. It's going to be a little bit more uncomfortable wearing them in there anyway. I think it's awesome to have these inserts in there and just be able to see like a normal person without wearing glasses or contacts. I think it's awesome, and it's one of the first upgrades I would recommend anybody who needs them for any VR headset. Next thing we're going to talk about here is the FOV, and this really caught me by surprise because I actually put an unboxing out there when I first got these devices. And when I got the FOV kind of down pack here and I was talking about it in my unboxing, the Apple Vision Pro was definitely substantially less than what the Quest 3 was. The Quest 3 usually has about 110 degrees-ish of FOV, and the Quest 2 has like 95-ish. So kind of compare that. I thought the Apple Vision Pro was more like the Quest 2 when I was unboxing it and stuff like that and playing with it the first couple days. And then I started doing research online, just thinking about seeing what people thought about the Apple Vision Pro and stuff like that and what other people were saying. And then I came across a thread that somebody was saying that this inner piece right here is a size that you get fitted for the Apple Vision Pro right here. And it comes in varying sizes, 21, 22, all that, all the different numbers, wide and all that kind of stuff. And when I went and got myself fitted for the Apple Vision Pro, when I scanned myself, when I ordered this for in-store pickup, I got a 33W. And the guy on Twitter was like, if you have anything over a 30, the FOV severely decreases, and you're going to have a much worse FOV experience. And he said he recommended if you were a 33 to get a 21 and see how that fit in store. So I immediately went back to the store, literally 10 minutes after reading that. I went back to the store to put this to the case, to the case, and see if I could actually see the same thing. So I went to the Apple store. They were happily to swap it out. I tried it in the store, and it is a massive difference. It's crazy because I was always wondering why people who tried the demo experience were trying to tell me that like the Apple Vision Pro had the same exact field of view as the Quest 3, because it was nowhere near that for me when I first tried it for the first couple days. But I got the 21 that he was talking about, and the FOV is literally now like the Quest 3. So literally, obviously I don't have exact numbers and stuff, and Apple doesn't publish them, but I definitely feel like it's exactly what the 110 degrees is on the Quest 3 that people were comparing it to. So what I would suggest is try low numbers if you can. Start with a 21 W if you can in the Apple store. See if that one works for you and how it fits and if it's comfortable and stuff like that. Play with that. Try to stay away from anything over 30 because the FOV severely goes down and you'll have a much better experience. And that's why there's so many varying comments on this stuff in there. So I would say now, with me getting a 21, if you get a low number and you're able to wear it and be comfortable with it, the FOV is basically the same across the board. And if you really want to go crazy, probably not something that you want to recommend doing all the time, but if you want to go crazy, remove this thing altogether and this facial shield over here, and just put your eyes against this for a minute. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of light leakage in that case, but you'll see how big the FOV can really be, where it fails your whole entire vision. But not something that I recommend doing for a long period, but it's just something cool to see. Be like, damn, look how big this FOV is if I don't use the facial guard in here, which I thought was pretty cool to mess with. Now let's talk about pass-through that a lot of people talk about with the, with both of these headsets. That was the thing that Apple touted about how awesome the Apple Vision Pro was going to be and the pass-through was going to be. And obviously, you guys know in this room, I don't have natural light coming in because I usually have the blinds all closed. I don't want the sun hitting like my headsets and stuff like that. So my blinds are always closed. I don't even have an actual lamp in here because there was never one in this room. So I have like a Govee lamp in the corner, and I have these LEDs everywhere. So obviously it's not the greatest room to kind of showcase, the best lighting is what I'm trying to get at. On the Quest 3, it's definitely really noisy in here. It always has been, but it was definitely passable. When I picked up like an iPad or something like that, I can very easily read it on the Quest 3. But it struggled because when it got close to you, it had that warping effect, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. It's not easy to show off in a video here, but it had that warping effect where it made it not as fun to use. In other words, if I had a quick text to respond to on the Quest 3, sure, I'll pick up my phone and deal with the warping effect and just text really quickly and I'll be fine. And that was fine. But on the Apple Vision Pro, the warping effect doesn't exist. And that's the biggest improvement that I have with the Apple Vision Pro and its pass-through, is that objects look great up close. There's no warping effect and stuff like that. It makes me using an iPad look really, really good up close. Same thing with using an iPhone or something like that. Even looking at your watch, it's a much better experience looking at objects up close and being able to use them than it is on the Quest 3. Because of that warping effect and because the text looking a little bit weird. And then, of course, it's a higher resolution display, so things are going to look even crisper up close, like the text and stuff on the iPad. So you're going to have that, and it looks that much better in pass-through on there. I will say, though, that when it comes to the pass-through, and people were talking about it early, I actually thought it was going to be even higher resolution than what it is, just because the way Apple was talking about it. When you're in low light or when you're in odd light like this room here, you're still going to get noise in the room. It is better than the Quest 3, and it's the best pass-through I've ever seen, but it is definitely not like looking through see-through glass like some of the early comments were saying during the demo experience. I even went and did this at the Apple Store, and I put it on real quick, and they have obviously really good lighting there. And yeah, it's definitely much better than it is in this room because there's better lighting and stuff. And it's definitely much better than the Quest 3, but it's still not like looking through see-through glass. You can still see that you're looking through a camera feed, is what my point is. But it is the best pass-through I've ever used. It makes using my iPhone, my iPad, and my watch, my computer screen and stuff really easy and much better without the warping effect of the Quest 3. So it's definitely a substantial upgrade, especially because in pass-through, you also have the occlusion that works on the Apple Vision Pro as well. So when you put your hand in front of you, it actually gets occluded really well, which the Quest isn't really doing very well right now. It's a much better experience on the Apple Vision Pro where your hands actually get occluded from digital objects and stuff, which is really awesome. So again, it's a much better pass-through experience on the Apple Vision Pro, no doubt. But I think some people who are listening to the hype may think that like it's as clear as looking through glass, and that's definitely not true. But there's no doubt that I obviously prefer by leaps and bounds the Apple Vision Pro pass-through than I do on the Quest 3, even if the Quest 3 is usable and still makes it a really fun mixed reality experience, and it goes away when you're looking at mixed reality and objects all over your room. It's perfectly fine, especially in better lighting, but you can't say that the Apple Vision Pro isn't better than it very easily. The next thing we got to talk about with these is the fact of being truly wireless. So obviously the Quest 3 here is truly wireless. You don't have any cables and stuff like that. It gets about 2 to 2.5 hours worth of battery depending, or if you get an Elite battery strap or other third parties, you can obviously double that very easily like I do with the Elite battery strap. I get closer to like 4 hours with the Elite battery strap, which is awesome depending on what's going on and if I'm using mixed reality and stuff, which takes up more battery. And then you got the controllers, of course, right here that you have. And then the Apple Vision Pro over here obviously has an external battery pack that you have to either put in your pocket or put on the side and stuff like that, or plug it into the wall if you want to have, infinite battery life if you want to do it that way. But obviously that means you're tethered to something. It's not truly wireless in the sense that you're carrying a battery on. I mean, obviously it is wireless because you can take the battery and put it in your pocket, but in the sense of truly wireless where you have nothing to worry about in cables, you do have to deal with a battery pack on the Apple Vision Pro. Just because of how much power is running in that thing, where on the Quest, you obviously don't have to deal with any of that. But to be honest, the battery pack has not been a big deal for me. Most of the stuff I've been doing on the Apple Vision Pro has been seated experiences. So I just put it in my pocket and move along, and it's no big deal. And even if and I plug it into the wall if I need to, but even if I'm playing, a couple of the immersive games that are out there that we'll get into here in a minute, I just put it in my pocket and I forget it's even there, and it doesn't really truly matter. If this is what it takes to get this high fidelity and resolution and the M2 processor that sits in there and all that kind of stuff, then it is what it is, and that's perfectly fine. The next thing we're going to talk about here is audio. Now, I'm obviously not an audiophile or anything like that, and that's perfectly fine. But I will say that the Quest 3 has much better audio built in than the Quest 2 had. It's a louder experience and stuff like that. The spatial audio is really good in there for gaming and movies and stuff like that. Always has been, but I will say the Apple Vision Pro has even better spatial audio with movies and games and stuff like that are in there. And the speakers are even higher quality. I think they sound even better. They fill the room even better, and they're louder than the Quest 3. More so that on the Quest 3 sometimes, because I like things loud, there's sometimes where I wish I had headphones on and stuff like that. On the Vision Pro, I'm never going to care about wearing headphones unless if I'm on a plane and I don't want anybody else to hear what I'm hearing, or in a room or something like that. But other than that, the Vision Pro has fantastic audio. Don't even need to use headphones with it if I'm by myself and not disturbing other people. And it sounds fantastic, and the audio is really, really good. Obviously, they both have a very similar idea that they're both, like, integrated into their headbands and stuff, and it kind of just pipes the sound into your ears. So it's very, very similar in that front, the way that they're designed. And they do say that if you want to use, lossless audio and have, zero delay or almost zero delay in headphones, that they recommend using the AirPods Pro 2nd generation that they came out with the USB-C port, because that will give you very low latency, and will be a much better experience if you are going to pair it with the Apple Vision Pro. Even though it can work with Bluetooth headphones and your mileage may vary, but you may experience some lag or stuff like that, or it's definitely not going to be lossless audio like it will be if you use the Apple Vision, the Apple Pro AirPods if you have them. Then the next thing we're going to get into here is the OS and multitasking in the OS, and how these things actually work and their ecosystem.
All right, guys, so we're going to talk a little bit about the Quest platform here as we're sitting here in the OS, so I can compare it to what Apple is doing on their OS. So here, you can tell I'm in Passthrough, and I know it's not coming across here, but I'm in a really pitch dark room. This is the room, my office and stuff, but I deliberately turned all the lights off so I can kind of get a look of how bad this can get when you have basically no light in the room. I have no light in the room except for that light in the corner over there, and having this OS in front of me, and I'm using hand tracking as well. As you guys are looking at right here, my hands are being tracked in space. Now, when it comes to the pass-through quality here in the OS, it's very easily noticeable in low light that the Quest 3 is nowhere near as good as it is on the Vision Pro, because the Vision Pro, even though it's still grainy when there's not a lot of light, it's much, much less grainy than this. This right now looks like I'm watching a VHS tape with how grainy it is. Now, granted, when I have this room lit up and there's light in here, pass-through is not bad at all on the Quest 3. I've said that on my review. But what there's no light at all and it's pitch darkness like this, it's definitely looking like VHS quality over here. But one of the other things is that wavy effect that we talked about, where when you have objects up close, it is a little bit hard to actually see them, because you have like this wavy effect that makes it a little bit hard to see, your phone and stuff. As you grab it, you can see it, but in low light especially, it's going to be a little bit wonky. And there's also no occlusion with the actual objects as well. Now, when it comes to the actual OS here, you can see that I am using hand tracking. So even though the Quest 3 doesn't have, eye tracking like the Vision Pro does, you could still manipulate this whole entire OS pretty well with hand tracking. You can see I'm moving my windows around. This is the main OS window. And let's say that I were to open the browser over here. If I opened up the browser, and let's say that I pull this tab right here. Now, you have to be deliberate. It doesn't work as well as the Vision Pro, that's for sure, as you can see as I'm trying to pull this out. There we go. So I got this on one side, and I can pull this other tab out of there and put it over here, and then I can even open up another tab. So it is working with hand tracking. You can see that the way that the Quest 3 does it, that you actually have like a little circle on the screen here to manipulate the windows and stuff like that. I can have 3 browsers opened. I can have one, going to Instagram, and I can have another one going to Facebook, and I can have all of these open in front of me if I want to, doing whatever I want to do, and I can have a video playing over here, and I can scroll through the web page with just my hands and manipulating windows. So some of the stuff that Vision OS is promoting, you could definitely do on the Quest, but I will say that it's not as intuitive, it's not as good without eye tracking, because obviously you have this gigantic line or the circle in the middle, and that's how you scroll up and stuff like that, as you can see me here scrolling. And even though it works decently well to select different objects, you can see how hard it was for me to actually grab the web page and move it over. With the eye tracking on the Vision OS that you guys will see here in a minute, it's definitely much more intuitive, really easy to manipulate windows and stuff. But you can do it on here with your hands, and the hand tracking works decently well to manipulate through the OS. You know, I can click here. The only thing is, like I said, you're not using your eyes, so you have to deliberately put that circle and move it around exactly where you want it to go. And then you can kind of scroll in, and it uses the same pinch mechanic actually as the Vision OS does. You can see I'm scrolling up and down. That's kind of the same thing you do on the Vision OS, where you're scrolling up and down and pinching your fingers and stuff. So the actual interface is pretty similar, or what you're doing. It's just a little bit more smooth and smoother on the Vision Pro OS that you guys will see here in a minute. But it does functionally have the same idea place while you're using hand tracking and stuff. And of course, you don't have to use hand tracking. I can just grab the controllers, and then you'll be dealing with pointers, and then you'll be sitting here with pointers, which will be a lot easier to sometimes manipulate windows and stuff like that. But it is really cool. You can grab these windows and put them where, put 3 windows up here and manipulate this whole entire thing and put them around, all that kinds of stuff. And then you can be in an immersive environment if you want to. Like I'm scrolling through right here, and now I'm back here in my 3D virtual world. And Oculus does the exact same thing, where you can kind of have, you can go into the settings and kind of change the environment that you're in if you want to. Kind of like the same thing that Apple is doing with theirs, where you can personalize your virtual environment, and you can be in different areas and stuff. Like right here, I'm in the Meta Horizons area, and now I'm here, and now I'm in this virtual environment. I will say that, like, with the way that what the Quest is doing it and stuff like that, it's definitely not like, you'll see on the Vision Pro OS they're going for a little bit more realistic graphics, and you're actually in realistic settings and stuff like that. And while this looks really cool and really fun, it's definitely got, it's obviously much more lower resolution. The graphics aren't really like being rendered as high quality and stuff, but you still feel present in this world. And I really have always liked, the meta environments and stuff. Some definitely look better than others. This is a storybook one, as you guys are looking at here. This one looks much better. The graphics look a lot cleaner in here. And has a really good look to it, and I really feel like I'm somewhere else. So I really like these because they feel even more 3D than you feel like you're present in these different worlds. So I always like when they do this, and I can't wait till we can customize these a little bit more maybe than what we're used to. But like I said, that is in here, and you can scroll through your library. You have, you guys are all used to what your library looks like, and you can functionally multitask with these different pages. But it's just really web pages and a couple of other apps that you can kind of multitask with. Like I can open up the TV app, since that's like a TV app, and I can put that over there. Any of the 2D apps, basically, you can kind of scroll through and put in here. So for example, if I have the Horizon feed and I want to leave this over here and I want to move this around, I can put the Horizon feed over here. You guys probably all know this already. You can put the People's app in different areas and stuff like that. You can open up the Facebook 2D application that's here and kind of be right there logged in and use like the 2D app that they made with the web XR. So that's really cool that you can open up 2D apps and put them in here. Not a lot of developers have taken advantage of having these 2D apps, which is the only unfortunate thing as far as that goes. But like I said, you can get some multitasking done, but it's definitely not the main thing about the OS as far as it being its concentration. Most of the time when I'm in this OS, to be 100% honest, I'm not usually looking for web pages or looking to do that. I usually just come in here, might check my friends list here for a minute, and then basically open up an app and be on my way and be somewhere else. I don't really spend too much time in the actual menus or, within being in Passthrough or anything like that. I usually don't spend that much time in here. I'm usually coming in here to play something specifically or open an app that I specifically want to do. Multitasking has never been one of the things I like to do. And the TV app that's on here, we'll talk more about when we get to the entertainment section here. But I don't really have an issue here with the OS and stuff like that, as you guys are looking at. As far as using it on here, I usually don't have too many problems. I'm not saying it's perfect or anything, but you got your People's app, you got the store here, like we usually do. You got the Horizon feed where it kind of shows you a bunch of things going on in Horizons and kind of showcases different things. And your camera and those 2D apps and stuff are all here. And I definitely can't wait for some of the future updates that they're talking about, like the 3D anchors with mixed reality. We're going to be able to anchor digital objects in your world, so that's going to really change the game when it comes to the Quest 3.
All right, so here we are with the Apple Vision Pro, and we are now going to talk about the fact of the OS on the Apple Vision Pro and what makes it stand out. So of course on here, everything is about eye tracking and your hands. There are obviously no controllers on here, so the OS is just controlled with your eyes, and you can see as I look around things, it has the objects or the icons in front of me popping out as I'm looking at them. And honestly, this does feel magical in the way that Apple kind of portrays it, because it feels like you're kind of in Minority Report, controlling these windows and controlling all these different things with just your hands while you're in here, which is a really cool experience. You're kind of just here, and you use that same exact pinch mechanism that you do on the Quest 3, but things just are a lot smoother, and it works a lot better as I'm manipulating through windows. You can tell, obviously, Apple put a lot of effort into this, even though you can do hand tracking on the Quest 3. It's nothing compared to how it feels and how it performs on the Apple Vision Pro, because their whole OS revolves around it. They don't have a controller to, kind of rely back on, where that's where the Quest 3 shines. Their tracking is amazing with the controllers, and just okay when it comes to the hand tracking and stuff like that. But here, since everything is controlled with your eyes, you basically just look at something and you can open it. For example, if I open up Safari, all I do is click my hands together, just like I selected on the Quest 3. I'm doing the same thing here, but now I have a web browser in front of me. And the biggest thing here that makes me love doing this is the multitasking is amazing. I can literally move the window anywhere, not just the 3 different planes that you saw on the Quest 3 that I was moving my 3 windows around, but here I can literally put it all over the place if I want to. So I can go ahead and put the Safari browser kind of sitting over here, and then I can go ahead and click the digital crown, and now I can open something else. Let's say that I want to open music now. And obviously, the ecosystem is also what makes this shine. If you have an iPhone or an iPad and you're already in the Apple ecosystem, that's what really makes me use this device even more. And this isn't something that the Quest 3 can really fix per se, because there's nothing they can really do about it, because they don't have a phone that we use on our daily basis or anything. But that does give it a win on the Apple Vision Pro regardless, even if there's nothing that Facebook can really do about it, because I don't have to pay for things twice. I don't have to log into Spotify or any of that stuff like I do on the Quest 3, because everything that I use for Apple is already here. I can go ahead and move this over here and kind of be looking at my screen here and watch music videos and stuff like that, or be listening to music and kind of put it to the side. And my whole library is here because I already have Apple Music on my phone, and it's all ready to go. And that's kind of the same thing that relies with everything else. When I take my phone everywhere, my pictures are just here, ready to go, thanks to iCloud and stuff, and everything is just here. And there's some of the videos I took today, and they're all kind of just here, ready to go anytime I want, and I don't have to worry about it. And look at this, I can just keep opening things. I can bring up more stuff, and then I can pull up messages or settings in the App Store, and bring up my notes that are kind of just sitting here and ready to go. I can bring up compatible apps, because you can use compatible apps on here. That there's over like 1 million apps that you can use on here that are ready to go, even if they're not specifically made for the Vision Pro. There's over 1 million apps that are made for the iPhone or iPad, as long as they opted in, that you can use on here and still use. And for example, this is Twitter that's open right here. So even though there's not a native Twitter app yet, I can still use Twitter on here as what is actually used. And I can make the windows smaller or bigger, as you can see here, very easily by just pinching and zooming at the corner and just looking at the corner of that window. This is stuff that seems simple in nature, but it's not as simple and intuitive on the Quest 3, because it's not built with just 100% hand tracking. Hand tracking was an afterthought. They used their controllers, and just being able to use your hands to just pinch a window and open it like this feels great. And being able to grab it from the bottom and put it anywhere, so I can put Twitter kind of sitting up here and kind of just be scrolling Twitter and looking at it and have all these things open. And let's not forget, obviously, it's the clarity as well. Text has never looked this good. Text has never looked this sharp like it does right now on the Apple Vision Pro, and that's obviously a really big deal on how good this actually looks in here. That makes me want to continue using it. And something that a lot of people don't talk about, if I bring this window down and kind of pinch it and bring it down, I can actually use any of these apps as if I have an iPad in front of me. So I can bring it really low to me and just bring it down here and curve it towards me, and now I can kind of just touch it and move my finger just like that and kind of scroll through by touching it directly, as if I have a touchscreen in front of me. I don't have to manipulate it like just hand tracking. I can just do it. And the Quest 3 kind of does this as well, so it's not like that's something new, but you can do this with any of the apps on here, which is great. So that's kind of a big difference on here that really sells me from using this everywhere. It's the ecosystem. It's the fact that all the iPhone apps you're used to using, and obviously this is not going to rely if you actually use an iPhone, but obviously I do, and that's what sells me, and that's what's going to sell a lot of people. And I have all my apps ready to go, everything that I'm used to kind of here at an incredibly high resolution. But the multitasking is also, obviously, as you can see, much better than it is in the Quest 3. There's no doubt about it. Not to mention that the processor on here is much more powerful, so you can handle multitasking way better. I can even have a FaceTime call. I can't make a FaceTime right now, but imagine having all these windows open and I'm doing work and all that stuff, and I just have FaceTime sitting in the corner. And don't forget, if you have a MacBook, you can also bring it in front of you and have the MacBook right here dead center, so you can be getting real work done with the keyboard and mouse on your full Mac right here, or have an Excel spreadsheet working right here while you're on a call just sitting up there. This is what is called spatial computing. This is what Apple is talking about. And it's definitely a much different experience. Even though there's some things that you can see here that you can do on the Quest 3 that I showed off, it's nothing like the experience on the Apple Vision Pro. And it's exactly why I talk about at the end. I talk about this thing as being something that I would actually pick up to use as like a computer. When I pick up my Quest 3, I'm not going in there to use it as a computer. I'm going in there to either watch some content or play a game. Where on the Apple Vision Pro, I can actually pick this up and get some work done if I want to on my MacBook. I can use my MacBook on a gigantic screen in front of me and edit videos that I do for you guys, or just to have fun and leisurely browse Twitter and stuff like that while you look it up there, or browse the web, or listen to some music while I'm doing other things, or take FaceTime calls. All those different kinds of things that are on here that you probably just wouldn't do on the Quest 3 because that's not exactly what it's for, and it just works wonders on here. So the OS and the multitasking on here is definitely fantastic, and it's definitely Apple's strong suit to have the ecosystem sitting on here and all the apps. And we're just getting started with the apps. We'll see what app developers do in the future because they just got their hands on this now. So we'll see how that kind of progresses in the future. But the hand tracking that is on here, the eye tracking on here has worked really, really well for me. And it really does feel like magic when things are flowing and you're just picking windows and moving them around, putting them wherever you want. And you can put them in different rooms too in your whole entire house. So I can literally leave these windows here, kind of walk out of the room and kind of just leave, be somewhere else. And those windows are exactly where I left them. So I can literally put windows all over my house for different things and kind of walk around my house like I'm in really a Minority Report and just have like, hey, in my living room I have a gigantic screen. In this office I have my Excel spreadsheet just kind of sitting over here. When I go in the kitchen I have a bunch of timers up on my cooking stuff. It's just crazy that some of the stuff that you can do when it comes to that, and especially with the multitasking here involved. So the OS and the ecosystem on here definitely sets it apart.
Now, as far as the avatar system here on the Meta Quest, as you guys are looking at here, this is the avatar that is kind of representing you right now. Now, obviously, this is something that Meta says that they're going to be improving with better avatars that are going to be more realistic in the future, but we can only compare what we actually have right now. And you can see that the Meta avatar, it doesn't track my face or anything. There's no facial tracking or eye tracking or any of that stuff. So the only thing you have is obviously my hands that are being tracked as I kind of, and it does a little bit of moving around and stuff like that. We're supposed to get full body tracking here soon, which is going to be interesting. As you can see, it moves a little bit. That's supposed to be incorporated into certain games and stuff, but we're not going to get like, your eyebrows being mimicked or your nose or your cheeks moving because there's no cameras looking at that stuff like there is in the Vision Pro. And the avatar right now, at least, is a little bit more cartoony, but it's also an avatar that is really customizable as well. So it depends on what you're kind of looking for. You can see I can customize myself with different outfits depending on the time of year. Hey, I want to put a Lakers jersey on because I'm rooting for the Lakers. Or, I can come in here and they're selling different shoes from different outfits and stuff. So I kind of like that you can customize your avatar and make it look like me because I can customize the clothes that I'm wearing and stuff with my, avatar that I represent myself with. So sure, I would love to have a more realistic avatar that looks more like me and maybe in the future have the tracking of my face and everything so they can track my mouth moving and everything. That's obviously awesome like they did on the Quest Pro, but bring it down to the cheaper version of it and bring that over here. And so more people are actually using it in their apps and stuff because no one was really using it on the Quest Pro because it didn't sell very well. But I would still love to somehow let them keep being able to customize, all of these different things because, it's awesome to be able to just customize yourself and kind of be in here. Like right now I can customize myself and be in here and put this avatar. Now I'm ready. It looks like the 49ers color. We're ready for the Super Bowl, and now we're ready to go as a 49ers fan to kind of represent myself. But this is really cool, and they obviously can make some money by selling it from different like different genres, like 100 Thieves and stuff like that. They can partner with people, some free, some not. Have some NBA jerseys and stuff, and I think that's fun. I think that's a cool way to keep updating yourself and changing your clothes just like you do in real life. So if they do update the avatars, or when they do to be more realistic, hopefully when they do that, they can somehow still let us customize our clothes and stuff like that, because I actually think that's a pretty fun part of the experience of what is on the Meta Quest 3. And I love the fact that the avatar kind of goes with you in a lot of different apps and stuff like that represent you across a lot of different games and a lot of different apps that you have on here, so you kind of look the same no matter where you go.
One of the other things that I wanted to talk about here is, of course, the personas, which is what their avatar system, I guess, is like, that you can kind of compare that to on the Apple Vision Pro. And if I look at my persona here, you guys will see it right now. You'll see myself appear. And what's really cool about this, and I know some people are like, oh, this is a little bit on the edge of Uncanny Valley and stuff like that, so people get creeped out by it and stuff. I did a few FaceTime calls with my family members and stuff, and they were actually surprised. Yes, they all knew that it wasn't me in the sense that they knew that it was a digital recreation of me. But my aunts and my mom and everybody that I called said, yeah, you look a little weird for a second. You're like, whoa, that caught me off guard because they could tell it's not really me on the FaceTime call, but it's a digital representation of me. But I also asked every single one of them and said, but if I came on FaceTime, you still know it's me. You would know without a doubt that it can't be anybody else but me. And they all agreed that, like, oh yeah, it looks just like you. It just, you know, it's not really you, and it's a digital recreation of you. But for FaceTime calls, to have this kind of representation of you already here, and this is still in beta, as you see here, so it's only going to get better from here, is really cool, because I'd rather have this than have nothing. The fact that I can use it with any application, not just FaceTime, because it's just looking at you as a camera. So anything like Zoom or anything, or any of the third-party apps, or any of those millions of iPhone apps and iPad apps that just use the camera, they can pull into this persona and they're ready to go, even if the developer did nothing to it, which is awesome. So I personally think that the persona here is really cool, and I think it looks just like me, and everybody would know this is my persona, regardless if it's a little bit on the edge of Uncanny Valley. I still think it's awesome, and I don't feel the same way as a lot of other people do, where it's like, oh, I would never use this. I would never join a FaceTime call with this. I think I would join a FaceTime call just like this, and I think the people who I have already FaceTime, even though they got weirded out, more times you do it, and the more you call them that way, the more times they're going to be like, yeah, that's you, and they're talking to you and stuff like that, and they get used to it, which is exactly what happened on the calls that I made. But besides that, it's also just really impressive, as you can see, that my mouth is being captured the whole entire time as I'm talking, and that's just amazing. It's obviously, it's even better. I had the Quest Pro before, but again, it's not on the Quest 3, so a lot of developers aren't really using it. It was just kind of in Horizons, and that's it. But even regardless, the Quest Pro wasn't doing it in this high fidelity. My mouth was not being tracked as well, especially because it wasn't really, it was a cartoon avatar, so it wasn't like it was you talking. It's just a very different experience. On here, since it looks like me, it actually keeps track of my facial movements and stuff. And it's just really cool. Even my eyebrows moving up, as you can see there, I just moved my eyebrows. If I look to the right, my eyeballs look to the right. Look to the left, my eyeballs look to the left. If I stick out my tongue, kind of sticks it out. Like, look at that, the way that it tracks all that stuff. Teeth showing and stuff like that. It's all just kind of crazy how it captured all those details, and it works extremely well. So the facial technology of the way it's capturing my face is amazing. I think the technology there is amazing, and I can't wait to see how Persona improves kind of going on in the future and stuff like that, to see how much better this can actually be, to get it closer out of Uncanny Valley, so even more people are, you know, into this stuff, because I think the technology and the tracking and stuff like that, what it does with your face, is really cool. And when you're to be able to use a headset and still be able to call people and use this and kind of have a digital representation of you is kind of awesome. But we'll see how that goes.
So now let's talk about the actual movie experience that we have here on the Quest 3. And that is something where I think they falter a little bit compared to the Apple Vision Pro here. And it's not something I use very often. And one of the reasons for that is because when I want to watch a movie, obviously these are 2K panels. They're not 4K resolution like the Apple Vision Pro or anything. So if I haven't seen a movie yet, I'm going to want to watch it on my 4K OLED TV at home or my projector and stuff like that, because I feel like I'm missing something the first time I see the movie. Now, on subsequent times that I watch it and stuff like that, I'll definitely come in here and watch it, especially in 3D, because that's where VR is at, where you watch these movies in 3D. But you're not really going to catch me watching a 2D movie on here by myself, because I'd rather watch it on a TV that's going to be much better. It's not something I'm going to do. The only time I'll do that is if it's a 3D movie after I've watched it the first time and got the full experience on a 4K TV or projector. Then I'll come in here and watch it in 3D, whether I have my own 3D movie or using, big screen and stuff like that to be out there. But it's not something I do very often, and it's something that, is unfortunate that the Quest used to have like 3D movies that they used to sell on their store, and they don't sell that anymore, and I think that was a missed opportunity to continue to grow that, because 3D movies are a huge deal in VR, and I think they're fantastic, and Apple's obviously leaning into it really, really well, and Meta kind of abandoned it a while ago, and we'll see if they end up bringing it back, but, I think 3D movies that they kind of let go is definitely an unfortunate thing, because now all we have is relying on other people going into big screen and hosting it. and hosting their movies for other people to watch. The other thing about the movie watching experience, like for example this Meta TV app, even though I do like that now these icons are all in 3D and stuff, which is a good improvement, the quality just varies so much. Like some of these look terrible because they're so pixelated and stuff because they're coming from different areas, and some of them look good because they're done by Meta Quest and they've done good stuff in here and stuff like that, and they're putting some of their content in here. But this is curated by and coming from all different places, so not everything is created equal, so it's hard to sometimes find something that looks really good in here and not be pixelated because of that fact. But anything usually hosted by MetaQuest is done really well in here because it's being pulled from what they're doing with their cameras and look really good on the Quest platform, and they're fun to watch. Then we also got Meta Horizons that I think they do a really good job at, and I wish I could show you some of this stuff, but unfortunately, with it being copyright, you'll just see black screens everywhere when I show you this content being played. But Meta Horizons has improved a lot. I did a dedicated video on it, especially with their VR concerts and their NBA basketball games and stuff like that. That they're doing a great job at. I love going in there and watching concerts either by myself or with others. I love watching NBA games and being courtside, so they're definitely ahead in that aspect as opposed to the Vision Pro because they already have, their own VR concerts coming out and their own stuff that they from the NBA and stuff already out there being immersive on the sidelines and stuff, which is really cool. And the resolution is pretty good to be able to watch it and have a fun experience, and it gives you that different perspective that you don't get on a regular TV at home. But one of the downsides on the Quest platform is just the fact that Meta hasn't really pushed developers to bring their apps over from the TV space, like whether it be Netflix that hasn't updated their app on here in like 10 years, or bringing over Disney Plus or bringing over HBO Max and stuff like that. But it's not just bringing their apps over, it's taking advantage of what VR can offer. See how we're in this environment right here? Well, imagine being in an environment while you're watching Marvel specific movies. Imagine being in an environment when you're watching Pixar related movies. Imagine being in an environment when you're watching Game of Thrones and it's all like you're in the actual Game of Thrones environment. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. That's the kind of stuff that will make me watch movies and 2D things. If it's not going to be 3D, the only way you're going to get me to watch 2D content on here, especially with their lower resolution and stuff, is if you put me in immersive environments that matches the content that I'm watching. And Meta hasn't really done that very well on their own, and they haven't really enticed developers to come on board with Disney Plus and stuff like that. And now Disney's putting 3D movies out there. We'll see if that ever comes out on the Quest platform, but that's something that they definitely need to improve on. And now that they see, Apple leaning into it, maybe that's something that they will definitely do in the future. I will say, though, that the big screen app is really holding the fort as far as kind of doing exactly what I'm talking about, where being in immersive environments while you watch stuff. For example, this sports bar, you can be in different seats and stuff, and you can kind of hang out with other people socially. Socially is exactly where the Quest shines, especially right now in the Apple Vision Pro, where it's not really a social experience to watch content. It's more of a solo experience. But on here, you can be, with 20 other people in a room, and you can kind of hang out. You can watch sporting events together, all be talking to each other. That's what I love about VR, socially connecting with other people, watching stuff from all around the world together, coming together for different events and stuff like that, which is awesome. And big screen is kind of leaning into that, which is awesome. And then you can obviously watch 3D content from other people who are hosting different rooms, and they're bringing their 3D content onto here, which is good to see it. And then they have all these different environments on here. The sports bar is definitely one of the coolest ones that they recently just added. Of course, they have cinemas and stuff like that, so you can be in a grand cinema while you're in here, being in an immersive environment. And these environments look really, really good on here, nice and sharp and really good. But again, the social aspect is what really sells this, because even though the Quest 3 is a lower resolution than the Apple Vision Pro, I'll still use big screen all the time because it's a higher resolution it's a social experience with 20 other people that I can't really do on the Apple Vision Pro, which is obviously a lot more enticing, and I love doing that, especially for sporting events and different movies, depending on what I'm watching. I sometimes don't want to watch it by myself. I might want to watch it with other people, which is a ton of fun. I would like to see their environments kind of lean into, since Meta doesn't seem to be doing it, maybe we can have big screen kind of do it for us, where, we can, since we could technically go on the browser and watch Disney Plus and kind of be on the browser in these immersive environments that big screen makes, maybe big screen can kind of lean into the fact that, hey, they're already making these environments that are a little bit more generic environments, is I guess the right way to say it. They're not making specific ones. I would love to see them maybe partner with other people in the environments and make environments specifically for TV shows that make you feel like you're watching those shows, whether it be a genre of movies like a scary area, like let's say they make a scary environment, so every time you watch horror movies you're in like a scary haunted house together, or like I said, Marvel movies and be in a Marvel environment, or you know, if you're in a DreamWorks watching Shrek and stuff, you're in like a DreamWorks playground. Stuff like that would be awesome, instead of just always generic like movie theaters and stuff like that. The sports bar is great because that obviously is exactly what I'm talking about. Sports bar to watch all your sporting events. Lean into that and make some other stuff that, you know, has a genre specific appeal instead of just generic ones, because obviously meta's not enticing the third party developers to do it on their own. So in conclusion here, how it comes to the actual movie experience on the Quest 3, I think it's still really, really good because of big screen, because of the social aspect, because of all that stuff. I think it's actually a ton of fun. But there's definitely ways for improvement from MetaQuest to go forward. Bring 3D content, maybe start a 3D movie store like you used to and bring it back. Or if you're not, bring Disney Plus and have their 3D movies come on board that they just started releasing, if that's possible. Have them bring 3D environments. Have other developers, HBO and stuff, come in here, make 3D environments for their specific shows and stuff like that, so it's more fun to watch. All that kinds of stuff. But the number one thing that sells me on watching movies and 2D content on here is, one, 3D, even though I have to use big screen to bring my own 3D movies, but also number one is the social aspect, which Meta is definitely way ahead in the social aspect compared to the Apple Vision Pro.
Now let's compare the Apple Vision Pro movie experience to what we had on the Quest 3.
The movie watching experience, even in 2D, is amazing because of that. Because of the fact that I'm looking at this and it's all, you know, in 2D and stuff like that, or sorry, in 3D and stuff like that, which is an amazing experience. Because it looks like it's as good as my 4K TV at home. So it makes me want to watch 4K content on here because it's that much fun to do. And on top of the fact that they have 3D movies and they have over 100, I think they have over 200 movies now on the Apple TV app that you can actually watch 3D movies, which is awesome. They even have digital content, immersive videos is what they call it, where you can actually watch, immersive videos and stuff like that on Apple TV Plus, which is awesome. So if you're subscribed to that, you get to watch some of their 3D immersive content, like you can see here, like the wildlife that is basically filmed in 8K 180 3D, and they look amazing on here because of the quality on here. It just makes me much more, willing to watch this content on here because the resolution is so good, because the OLEDs are fantastic, the colors are really good, and it makes it that much more fun, and the 3D movies look that much better and stuff like that. But it is very much a solo experience on here. And you're not going to be able to, at least right now, socially have other avatars or personas in the same room as you're watching this stuff like you would on the Quest 3. So there's definitely an advantage on both sides. Much more social on the Quest platform, much more of a solo experience, and a much better viewing experience on the Apple Vision Pro. And we haven't even talked about the fact that we actually have 3D environments. So like I talked about when I was talking about the Quest platform, Apple is actually taking initiative on bringing some of these apps over, like HBO Max, like Max and stuff. For example, Disney Plus, if I open this up, it does exactly what I want Meta to do, what I want other people to actually do, which is bringing their content over here and actually having you have immersive environments. Like, for example, I can be at Scarefloor if I want to watch a Pixar movie. I can be on Tatooine if I'm watching a Star Wars movie. Or I can be at Avengers Tower. Or for anything else that's not those three categories, I have a Disney theater I can kind of sit in. So if I go to Avengers Tower right now, you can see I'm now in Avengers Tower. And first of all, the quality that Disney put this in is outstanding, I will say. But look at the detail everywhere. You have all this detail, and this looks so good. And it really feels like you get a wow factor looking in here because of the crazy amount of detail, the crazy high resolution, and all of this just being in here. And it's not just the fact that it looks this good, it's that when you actually, and again, I'm not going to be able to show you this very well because you're just going to see a black screen right now, but that's fine. I just kind of want to show you what it would look like if you were watching it. So picture there being a movie here. But look at what actually happens here. So you have this gigantic movie in front of you, and then you have everything darkens. Disney did a fantastic job. Even now the Iron Mask has the lights inside of it. Same with the Hulkbuster and stuff. And look at the lighting back there. It just all looks so good, and it looks fantastic, and they did a really good job. And that's what all their environments do when you're watching a movie, and you're not just in there relaxing. And the movie starts, it dims all the lights, and now you're looking at the nighttime city. Disney did a fantastic job with this. Apple is doing a fantastic job with this, with their immersive environments, like when you're watching content. HBO Max kind of did the exact same thing. You can go into an immersive environment here. And they have one right now, which is the Iron Throne, which I hope that they add even more to this stuff. But when this actually launches here, you can see that now I'm in an I'm in a Game of Thrones environment while I'm watching content. And if I move this out of the way, look, you've got the Iron Throne sitting right there. And this is what I'm talking about. I'd much rather watch, Game of Thrones in an environment that looks like this with a gigantic screen in front of me. It makes it much more immersive, even if it's in 2D. I would want to watch it on the Apple Vision Pro just because this is cool to be in an environment like this. And the resolution is so good that it makes it okay to do it. So fantastic job with that. And let's not even get into the fact that Apple has their own environments that are OS level. So even if app developers aren't making their own and they just have a floating window, like if HBO didn't make, their immersive environment, or Disney didn't make those cool environments that I just showed you, you can still go into like Mount Hood, for example, and be in this immersive environment. And right now, it's raining, and you can hear the rain. You can hear the birds chirping. Attention to detail. This looks amazing right here, as you guys are looking at here. And again, Apple does the same thing. If I were to pull up content right now, it would actually stop raining. The rain, you wouldn't hear the rain noise anymore. You would just hear a little bit of wind, so it makes you feel like you're still in the environment. Sometimes hear the birds chirping really low, and you'll have a gigantic screen in front of you watching content, and it would darken out. And actually, this environment is super cool. Again, I can't show you because of copyright, which is unfortunate. But what they do with some of their environments is that what you're actually watching actually reflects. In this environment, you'll see the actual image reflect on the actual water, which is really, really cool. That when they do that stuff for sure, and I think it's fantastic. And when this one right here, what they did with this one, which is also super cool, is the actual clouds on here when you're watching it at night. The actual reflections of what you're watching go on top of the clouds and stuff. Again, they're doing some super cool stuff when it comes to media watching and stuff, and really cool attention to detail. And the resolution of this stuff, like even the rocks I'm looking at, are just super, super high and crisp. Makes it look really good. And it makes the movie watching experience just really, really good on here. The only reason that I would honestly choose the movie watching experience, or the 2D watching experience, or 3D, or whatever the case may be, on the Quest right now over the Apple Vision Pro is just because of the social aspect of it. That is it. If I want to watch it with 20 other people, and I don't want to watch it solo, and I want to just enjoy it with other people, then I'm definitely going to pick up, the Quest 3, because I want to watch it with the 20 other people. If we have a gigantic sporting event and stuff, and we all want to watch the Laker game together, then I'll pick it up over there. But if it's just me at home, and I want to have the best viewing experience possible, and it's just for me, I'll pick the Apple Vision Pro for movie watching any day with these immersive environments, and with these visuals that we have on here, especially the 3D stuff, that they're doing a really good job bringing these 3D movies over here and letting you buy them on the Apple Store, and the Apple TV app, and Disney's bringing their 3D stuff as well, which is awesome to see. Like, they have a whole gigantic area now where they have all of these 3D movies here. As you can see me scrolling, look at all the ones that Disney already has on here, which is awesome to see. And that's not even, then Apple has their own, obviously, and with the Apple TV app, and they have a bunch of 3D movies on there as well. When you go to the search area, you can see all of these 3D movies. They have over 200 3D movies that you can kind of buy and purchase from them. So many already, and they're supposedly going to keep adding to it, which is obviously awesome to see as a huge 3D movie fan. One of the last things I want to talk about here is really quickly just spatial videos, which is panoramas and stuff that you can take. Like, for example, look at this panorama that I took when I was out on vacation and stuff. If I scroll through my Atlantis picture here, I can go ahead and go into immersive mode, and look at this. You can see the actual picture immersively in front of you, like you're actually reliving this memory and stuff like that in this picture, like you're there all over again, which is super cool. And this works with any panoramic stuff you did before. And it's something that's, just, again, the ecosystem. I always have my phone with me, so I can take these pictures anywhere I go with my phone, and then come on the Apple Vision Pro and put them on here and just look at these immersive pictures. And that's something that's not easily replicated on the Quest 3 because of the ecosystem we're talking about, which is awesome. Same thing with spatial videos that we have going on as well. I can go in here and go into, spatial videos over here and open up a spatial video, and this just looks super cool. When you look at it immersive, it has like this ghostly effect, but it really feels like I'm in here right now. And I feel like I'm kind of all in here, and I feel like I'm in this environment and stuff like that, watching this 3D video. And I can't wait to take more spatial videos because this looks fantastic. It has that 3D depth and stuff. And taking it from your phone and then being able to watch it on the Vision Pro is awesome. And again, you can watch these videos. Quest actually just updated, so you can actually take the videos that you take spatially on the iPhone, and you can actually watch it on the Quest, and it like, you know, transcodes it into whatever format the Quest 3 can work with, and then actually shows you these videos in the same way, in a similar way on the Quest platform. But again, it's all about the ecosystem. It's all about the fact that I can take these on the phone. I don't have to do anything with them. I pop my Vision Pro on, and boom, the videos are there ready to go, and I can play them immediately. So it's great that the Quest added that, and I think that's awesome, and they should do it. But I'm saying it still doesn't relay the ease of use that it has when everything just works together and the ecosystem is all just working together like this.
So the next thing we're going to talk about here is the gaming aspect of both these devices. Now, the Apple Vision Pro is definitely not being talked about as a gaming device by any standards, even though there are a few games we're going to talk about here, where the Quest is always being geared as like, this is the gaming platform. This is like a console. It has controllers, and the Apple Vision Pro is all about using your hands and hand tracking and stuff like that, and your eyes. And obviously, that's going to leave some caveats. So the Quest 3 is definitely easily, if all you care about is gaming, something that you should get is the Quest 3, no question, especially right now. It's not even close. You have fully immersive games. You have the fact that you use controllers, you have haptics in your hands, and all that kinds of stuff. And the Apple Vision Pro, even though the hand tracking is way better than it is on the Quest 3, and it tracks your hands really well, and it's the best hand tracking I've ever seen, and all that kinds of stuff. When I play games like Synth Riders on the Apple Vision Pro, it's an awesome experience. It's fun. It looks good. The mixed reality stuff that I've seen on the Quest Pro, or sorry, the Quest 3 is obviously something that the Vision Pro can do as well with having digital objects all over your floor. I love mixed reality games. I've talked about it on the Quest 3, so the Apple Vision Pro can do that, but it's relying on hand tracking, and you can even see in Synth Riders that they had to eliminate, they only have easy, medium, and hard, and they eliminated expert and whatever their other level was after that because the hand tracking wasn't going to be able to keep up with it. So they removed 2 of the levels in that game that you can play at, the levels of difficulty, for it to keep up. Now, I will say, the easy, medium, and hard that is in Synth Riders, I was playing it and having a great time. There's a little bit of latency with your hands moving, like very, very small if you look for it, but I don't think it actually deterred me from playing the game. Like if I wanted to play, if I had a Vision Pro on and I wanted to play that game, it's not like I wouldn't play it, or I would tell you Synth Riders is a bad experience on the Apple Vision Pro. But like I said, you are missing those 2 difficulties, but it is an awesome experience, the clarity and stuff like that. It's awesome that we have Synth Riders on here. I didn't think we would get music rhythm games on day 1, and maybe things will improve from here. But at least it shows that like hand tracking can be done in certain games depending on how it works, because Synth Riders with hand tracking on the Apple Vision Pro, you know, works well. It's a lot of fun, and you can actually play it. Even with the minimal lag that it may have, it doesn't seem to deter anything. I can hit the blocks when I want to. Like I said, just missing those 2 levels of difficulties that are in there. But of course, using your hands means you don't have haptic feedback, and that's something that I definitely miss when using controllers and stuff like that. On the Quest 3, when you play Synth Riders, you actually feel you hitting the blocks and stuff. So it's a little bit more immersive because of those haptic feedback that the Apple Vision Pro just doesn't have. And obviously, on the Quest side of things, there are so many games on there that I love VR for. 11 table tennis with the controllers. There's no way we're going to be playing table tennis again that requires that much accuracy on the Apple Vision Pro. Could be wrong. We'll see what happens. Maybe because everyone's on the same playing field, if there's slight latency playing table tennis, maybe it won't matter because everyone's on the same page. But I can't imagine it being as good of an experience as it would be on the Quest 3 using actual controllers. And that comes into part with many games. I really, really wish that at WWDC or in the future that the Apple Vision or the Apple decides to add controllers as an accessory for people who have, or for the developers out there who want to port their games that VR are out there for and bring them into the Vision Pro so we can get proper support. I don't want the controller support in their OS. I think hand tracking and stuff and eye tracking is an amazing experience and what makes it magical when using the Apple Vision Pro. But what I do want is an option to use controllers when I'm playing those immersive games that require it. And I think that's something Apple should consider, the same way that they let you use an Xbox controller to play, you know, Apple Arcade games and stuff on a giant virtual screen, which you can do, and all that kinds of stuff, or using Steam Link to play your PC games on a gigantic screen with the great high resolution and fidelity that the Apple Vision Pro has, and you can do it. Let us use VR controllers, whether you want to make your own or partner with somebody, whatever the case may be, because it's definitely holding back bringing a lot of games over. No matter what they do, a first-person shooter like Contractors and Pavlov will never work on the Apple Vision Pro, and that's disappointing because you have the high fidelity on here, you have the pancake lenses, you have the high resolution, and of course, you have the power of the M2 chip, which is about 50% more powerful. I think they're using the higher version of the M2 in here as well. So it's more powerful and has better graphic capabilities than the Quest 3 even has, which the Quest 3, in my opinion, has really good graphics and stuff, and the Apple Vision Pro can even reach, higher than that by a good margin. But I don't know if we're going to see games that are taking advantage of that high fidelity because of the fact that, like, we only have hand tracking and no controllers. So basically, in summary, gaming is obviously the best on the Quest 3, especially with the haptics, especially with controllers. I can't wait to see what games will be on the Apple Vision Pro, though. I definitely do feel like we're going to have, great experiences on the Apple Vision Pro using hand tracking, because we've seen some good games that have done hand tracking before, and this is the best hand tracking has ever been. So there's definitely going to be games that are fun on the Apple Vision Pro that are going to be a blast to play. We have Synth Riders that we just saw. We have Fruit Ninja already. We have the Lego game that has done a pretty good job showcasing what that can do. We have Game Room on here where you can manipulate the chess pieces and stuff like that and play card games and play dice. So there's definitely board games on the Apple Vision Pro. That would be fantastic. And I hope more board games come on it, because that would be an ideal scenario, because you don't need to be fast twitching with your hands in any sort of crazy movement, and you don't need controllers for that. So I think board games would excel on the Apple Vision Pro like we see in Game Room already. But there's definitely going to be limitations unless if Apple corrects it with controllers, for sure. Moving along right into that is fitness apps. Obviously, the Quest is known. A lot of people buy it for fitness, Supernatural, and Les Mills, and all those kinds of experiences that are on there. And right now, there really isn't anything like that on the Apple Vision Pro, unless if you count Synth Riders as a workout game. But I'm guarantee you that's definitely going to change. I feel like Apple just hasn't done it yet. Apple obviously has Apple Fitness Plus, and there's no way that they're not going to do Apple Fitness Plus in a cool spatial environment kind of thing. I would imagine that that's something coming at WWDC in the 2.0 version of the OS. I would assume, because I feel like fitness is something Apple always pushes, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's not there. But if we're talking about what's here today, no doubt that the Quest is obviously a better fitness thing, because it actually has it, and the Apple Vision Pro doesn't really have anything for fitness right now. But with the caveat that I think that's going to rapidly change for sure on the Apple Vision Pro, and that's going to be something that closes the gap really easily, because hand tracking will work perfectly great for fitness apps, and you don't need controllers, and it'd be great to not even have controllers in your hand for applications like that. So that's going to be awesome. And the next thing we're going to talk about here towards the end here is the price. Obviously, the Quest 3 is $500, and the Apple Vision Pro is $3,500, starting for 256 gigabytes. So there's a vast different money in there as far as what you're spending on each. And I think for 90% of the people out there, 95% of the people out there, the Quest 3 is a much better value proposition, especially right now with all the cool apps that are in there, and the social apps that I talked about, and the games, and the fitness stuff. It's obviously much more developed. It's been out for a lot longer, and there's a lot more dedicated apps that are done really well in there. And the Apple Vision Pro just came out, and even though there's 600 apps on the App Store and counting, they're still figuring things out on creating things that actually take advantage of the hand tracking and all that kinds of stuff that are in there. But if you want to see the future, if you want to feel like if you want like a computer on your face, like a Mac, and you want to be able to manipulate Windows and take meetings and, have all these different experiences with Windows and multitasking and stuff, that stuff is way better on the Apple Vision Pro. Multitasking, movie watching is of course way better on the Apple Vision Pro, like we talked about. 3D movies are way better on the Apple Vision Pro. All that kinds of stuff that we talked about are definitely something that I would use the Apple Vision Pro for over the Quest 3. But it's going to be up to you. I think if you're a person that, has infinite amounts of money and it's not going to bother you, and you want to see the future today, then buy the Apple Vision Pro, as long as you know what you're getting yourself into, and you know that it's not going to be a primary gaming device, and you're going to have a fantastic time doing what the Apple Vision Pro does well. But on the Quest 3, you're going to have a fantastic gaming experience and a fantastic social experience and all that kinds of stuff. So they all have their niches of what's better, but I think 95% of the people out there are going to have a better experience and feel more worthwhile on the Quest 3, at least for right now. Unless if you're a person like me, who either has a YouTube channel, wants to experience the latest and greatest, loves to have the latest tech, doesn't care that it costs that much, and they just want to see VR because they're excited about VR and MR, and they just want to see the best of the best. That's why I got the Apple Vision Pro. Plus, I also love the fact that we're at ground zero with the Apple Vision Pro. There hasn't been this much exciting tech in years when it comes to Apple and stuff, but remember when the Apple launched the App Store and we were all always excited about, oh, what app is going to launch today? What are we going to see on the App Store today? That doesn't happen anymore because there's so many apps in the App Store. Nobody cares about that anymore. On the Apple Vision Pro, since we're at ground zero, it's going to be like that for a while, where I can't wait to go into the App Store every day, see what's new every single week, see what developers are making, and it's kind of have that new feel all over again because everything is so new and developers are just experimenting with this thing that we don't know what's going to come out with for it, and we don't know what developers are going to do, and it makes it, you know, exciting in that respect. So I'm excited to see that and be kind of part of the ground zero aspect of like being there when the apps are just starting to get out there and exploring the App Store every single day, like it was when I first got the iPhone and the App Store launched. So let's go ahead and conclude this video on what I think I'm going to use what each for, depending on what each does better. So let's start with the Quest 3. The Quest 3 is not going anywhere. The Apple Vision Pro, by no stretch of the imagination, replaces my Quest 3. I'm not going to use the Quest 3 any less, except maybe for movie watching, but it's an awesome experience for a lot of different reasons. And it's going to be my primary gaming device because the controllers have haptic feedback, the controllers have better tracking, and most of the games probably won't even release on the Apple Vision Pro because of that, unless if Apple changes that in the future. But as of right now, the Quest 3 will be something that I use for all of my games, for social experiences like I talked about, all that kinds of stuff that I love about VR and social. Quest 3 is always something that I'm going to be picking up. The resolution may not be as high as the Apple Vision Pro, but it's still really good, and it still has the incredible edge-to-edge clarity. It still uses the pancake lenses that are like the Apple Vision Pro, even though the Apple Vision Pro, which I forgot to mention in this video, is also using OLED, which I can't believe I just remembered. The Apple Vision Pro has OLED panels, and this is still using LCD, so the colors are definitely better on the Apple Vision Pro as well, which I just remembered to mention here at the end of the video. But like I said, the Quest is still a fantastic device, especially for the price. And like I said, for gaming and social and everything like that, it's an awesome experience. So for me, that's something I'm going to keep using my Quest 4. The only thing that's going to change on how I was using the Quest before to now is movie watching solo. If I want to watch a 3D movie by myself, or a 2D movie or a 2D show and stuff like that, and I'll be doing that a lot more, I will always pick up the Apple Vision Pro because the screen resolution, because of the clarity, because of the OLED, because of how much better that experience actually is solo, and how much better the 3D experience is because of that, and I love that about the Apple Vision Pro. So the only time I will use the Quest 3 at that point for movies in that regard is going to be when I want to do it socially, like apps like Big Screen, like apps like, you know, other apps that are all about social and stuff like that. Then I will pick up the Quest 3. Because my problem always back in the day when I was using these things is that I never wanted to watch my first movie experience on the Quest 3 because the resolution was lower. In other words, if there was a TV show or a movie that just came out and it was in 4K, I wanted to watch it on my OLED screen. I wanted to watch it on my projector because I wanted to get the full 4K experience, basically, on my first attempt. So I'd watch those movies first on there, then I would come on my Quest Pro, and then I'd be okay with watching it because the resolution was obviously much lower than a 4K TV. And I would watch it there and have a great time with other people socially in 3D and stuff because I always felt I was missing something if I watched the movie for the first time on the Quest 3. On the Apple Vision Pro, it's the complete opposite. I will watch the movie first on there because it's better than most people's 4K panels at home. And I don't have to worry about that fact. If I want to watch the movie solo, I will watch it solo. And it will be a great experience, and I don't have to have that caveat in my head that like I'm getting a lesser experience because I'm not watching it on my 4K TV. It's going to be 99% the same experience I would have had on the TV. Again, if you're watching it solo and you don't have to worry about sharing it with other people, obviously that's a different scenario. And then of course, when it comes to multitasking and, you know, that kind of experience, even though there is some multitasking on the Quest 3 with, you know, the windows and stuff, it's nothing like what it is in the Apple Vision Pro and its ecosystem. Obviously, I'm an iPhone user, I have an iPad and stuff, and an Apple Watch. So the fact that everything is there integrated into the Apple ecosystem, and I can go in there and have a, you know, Safari open with everything and all my favorites saved. I have my messages over here. I have Apple Music that I'm subscribed to. I can listen to music while I'm in the headset, while doing other things. And I can have, you know, a movie sitting over here, and I can have Twitter sitting over here. And that's only going to get better as more apps get put on here, and I can multitask even more things. But the point is that as a computer device, as a web browsing device, as a multitasking device, as just using a computer, what it feels like to use, and the magic of using you know, your eyes and tracking, because obviously the Quest 3 doesn't have eye tracking, and all that kinds of stuff. Apple Vision Pro is what I'm going to use. If I want to just browse the web and, you know, use it as a computer per se, I'm always going to grab the Vision Pro. And I find myself doing that a lot more because obviously on the Quest 3, I always went in there for social stuff and for games. I never put on the Quest 3 to do any computer work. Or on the Apple Vision Pro, that is definitely rapidly changing for me, which is awesome. That's it, guys. I hope this long form video kind of showed you everything about the Quest 3 and the Apple Vision Pro. Like I said, I would definitely recommend about 95% of the people out there to go ahead and get the Quest 3 if you're just getting into VR, especially if you're a gamer and stuff like that, and that's what you care about the most. But keep an eye on the Apple Vision Pro. Subscribe to me so I can let you know how the gaming development happens on the Apple Vision Pro and as that changes going forward. But if you already have a Quest 3 and you just want to see the latest from Apple, you want to be at the cutting edge like me, you want to see what's coming out next, and you're okay with paying that price and you don't have any problem paying $3,500 because it's not going to put you in a hole or anything, then I think you're going to have a fantastic time. I'm having a fantastic time, and I think you're going to find that having both of them side by side is just going to be a great experience. You don't need to pick one over the other. They both have their own use cases. I'll be using both just as much, just for different use cases and stuff. You guys can see behind me, I have a PlayStation VR 2. I'll still be playing that when I play PlayStation VR 2. I have a big screen right here behind me as well. When I want to play PC VR stuff, I'm going to pick up the big screen. When I want to play PSVR 2 exclusives, I'll pick up the PlayStation VR 2. When I want to play anything else gaming related, 90% of the time, it will be the Quest 3. And when I want to have a computer on my face, web browse, and do all those sorts of things, watch movie content, watch 2D movies, watch 3D movies, all that kinds of stuff, see spatial apps and stuff like that, and see how that develops, and try some of the games that may use hand tracking and exclusives on the Apple Vision Pro, I will pick up the Apple Vision Pro. So they all have their own use cases, in my opinion, if you can, get by the price and stuff like that. So guys, if you guys have any questions, as always, leave it down below, and I appreciate everyone for watching, and until next time.